Now, India might soon be a part of the NATO Plus. A US congressional committee has recommended the inclusion of New Delhi in the 5-member grouping. The recommendation comes just ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the United States just next month. The recommendation has been made by the House Select Committee on the strategic competition between the United States and China. It adopted a policy proposal aimed at strengthening support for Taiwan. This proposal suggested bolstering NATO Plus's capabilities through India's inclusion. It further said that this move will result in seamless transfer of intelligence and also allow New Delhi access to latest military technology without much of time lag. Now, as per these recommendations, economic sanctions would be the most effective tool in case of China's invasion of Taiwan. Executing these sanctions with a joint support from multiple groupings like G7, NATO and NATO Plus will proliferate the effect. This committee was formed in January just last year and is tasked with making recommendations to legislative committees. It focuses on economic and security competition with China. The committee comprises of 13 Republicans and 11 Democrats. NATO Plus is a subgroup of this NATO alliance. It brings together the 31 NATO members with 5 aligned nations. That are namely Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Israel and South Korea. Now, New Delhi is already part of the Quad grouping, which is meant to deter Beijing's rising footprint in the Indo-Pacific. But India has maintained its neutral position on issues like the war ongoing in Ukraine and has also been a member of multilateral groupings like the China-initiated SCO and also BRICS. Now, for more on this, we are being joined by our guest, General V.P. Malik, who is a former Indian Army chief. Welcome to the broadcast, sir.
Thank you. Good evening to you.
Good evening, sir. Now, India could be a part of the NATO Plus. Given the contemporary geopolitics at play, how do you see this move coming just ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the United States?
Let me first explain very briefly what is NATO and what it involves. Now, NATO at the moment is an intergovernmental military alliance, and it has 31 members. 29 are from Europe, and 2 are from US, and 2 are US and Canada. And it is primarily a collective security system. The members have all agreed. The members have agreed to defend each other against attacks by any third party. So this is the basic composition of and its charter of the NATO. As far as India's involvement is concerned, personally, I have mixed feeling about it, and I'm not too keen that India should become a member of NATO Plus 5. Firstly, my reasons are, firstly, wherever NATO has expanded, it has caused tension between the states, whichever is considered adversary. In Europe, it is Russia, of course, and now if it starts expanding in that NATO style, obviously we will have greater tension with China than we have even today. That's one of the things. Secondly, it is a loss of autonomy. Now, so far, we have never joined any military alliance. And I think that has been one of our principles of ensuring our strategic autonomy. So I don't think India wants to lose its strategic autonomy. There are certain other operational issues also. For example, I personally feel that the performance of NATO military has not been all very good. The last example I can give is of Afghanistan. I would say it was a debacle, frankly, the manner in which NATO and the US had to withdraw from there. So I can't say that it has had a greater performance. There are other issues also. One I can think of is the nuclear issue, whether we are going to lose any autonomy on our nuclear projections. Secondly, the command and control issues are there. I know that there are many problems within the NATO in Europe. There are not many militaries which are very happy with the manner in which NATO is dominated by the US military.
Absolutely.
So there are many issues, and there is also the issue of financial contribution. No state has been able to give the kind of financial assistance sought by the USA in NATO. So
Absolutely,
these are many.
sir. I would just like to interject quickly. It is important to make a distinction between what a military alliance is and what a security alliance is. NATO is a military alliance. And speaking of a security alliance, Quad, which India is already part of. And interestingly, Quad has already been called the Asian NATO. So if the move gets a green light, sir, who is gaining from it more, New Delhi or Brussels?
Obviously, it is going to be primarily in the interest of USA. It will make other people to have greater tension with China. And what you said is quite right. We have never joined any military alliance, but we've had strategic partnership with other nations. And that, I think, should continue. And we can have greater cooperation as far as our strategic partnership is concerned.
All right. Now, just lastly, since you also touched upon China, this recommendation seems to be very, pointed, very strategically pointed towards countering China. And for that, as we also mentioned, India has Quad. Do you think New Delhi should accept this move or not?
Personally, I don't think it's a good idea. I think that we should stay away from any military alliance as has been defined in NATO or NATO +1. NATO plus India. I think we should continue with our strategic partnership as it is and cooperate with the nations which is there in Quad.
All right, General VP Malik, thank you for getting us all those insights.
Thank you.